December 5th, 1872. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, a British ship spots a vessel drifting aimlessly. When investigators boarded the ship, they found something that would baffle the world for over a century. The sails were set. The cargo was perfectly intact. The crew's personal belongings completely untouched. Even breakfast was still fresh on the table. But all 10 people on board were just gone. No signs of a struggle. No blood. No clues. This is the Mary Celeste, a ship that found its way home, with 0 crew. What really happened out there in the deep blue sea? Imagine you're sailing across the cold Atlantic Ocean in 1872. Suddenly, another ship appears on the horizon. As you get closer, you notice something strange. The ship is drifting silently. Its sails are damaged but still standing. The cargo is untouched, food is still on the table, valuables are still inside, but every single person on board has vanished without leaving a single trace. No bodies. No blood. No signs of a fight. It sounds like a horror movie, but this actually happened. This is the chilling true mystery of the Mary Celeste, the ghost ship that has confused historians, scientists, and investigators for more than 150 years. In November 1872, the merchant ship Mary Celeste left New York Harbor bound for Genoa, Italy. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 7 experienced crew members. Briggs was known as one of the safest and most respected captains of his time. The ship carried over 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol, a valuable cargo. Weather reports suggested the voyage began under normal conditions. Nothing seemed unusual. Family members waved goodbye from the docks, expecting the crew to arrive safely in Europe within a few weeks. No one could have imagined they would never be seen again. For nearly a month, the Mary Celeste crossed the Atlantic. Then, on December 4th, 1872, another ship called the Dei Grazia spotted the vessel drifting near the Azores Islands. From a distance, the ship looked damaged but not destroyed. Captain David Morehouse, who personally knew Captain Briggs, found the situation immediately suspicious. He ordered a boarding party to investigate. What they discovered became one of the greatest mysteries in maritime history. The Mary Celeste was eerily empty. Every crew member had disappeared. The captain's cabin was neat and organized. Personal belongings remained untouched. Expensive jewelry, money, clothing, and even the crew's pipes were still inside. There were no signs of violence, no bloodstains, no broken furniture, no evidence of pirates or mutiny. The cargo was almost completely intact. Food and fresh water were still available. It looked as though everyone had simply stood up and walked away from the ship in the middle of the ocean. Investigators soon noticed several strange details. The ship's only lifeboat was missing. Navigation instruments such as the sextant and chronometer had disappeared as well, suggesting the captain intentionally took them. The ship had taken on some water inside its hull, but not nearly enough to sink it. The pumps were partially clogged, making it difficult for the crew to know exactly how much water had entered the ship. The last entry in the captain's logbook was dated 9 days before the ship was discovered, placing the vessel many miles away from where it was eventually found. What happened during those missing 9 days remains completely unknown. As news spread around the world, newspapers exploded with speculation. One of the earliest theories blamed pirates. After all, piracy still existed in parts of the Atlantic during the 19th century. But investigators quickly found problems with this idea. Pirates usually stole valuables, cargo, and supplies. On the Mary Celeste, everything valuable remained untouched. Why would pirates kidnap everyone yet leave thousands of dollars worth of cargo behind? It simply didn't make sense. Another theory suggested mutiny. Perhaps the crew turned against Captain Briggs and escaped together. However, every known record described the captain as respected and fair. The crew had excellent reputations with no history of violence or criminal behavior. More importantly, if a mutiny had occurred, why leave behind food, money, and all personal possessions? There was no evidence supporting such a dramatic rebellion. Then came the idea of a violent storm or waterspout. Some believed massive waves may have frightened Captain Briggs into abandoning ship temporarily. If the captain believed the vessel was sinking, launching the lifeboat could have seemed like the safest choice. Unfortunately, if the lifeboat became separated from the ship during rough seas, everyone aboard could have been lost while the Mary Celeste continued drifting safely across the Atlantic. Many historians today believe this is one of the more realistic explanations. But another fascinating theory emerged decades later involving the ship's mysterious cargo. The Mary Celeste carried highly flammable industrial alcohol stored inside wooden barrels. Scientists later discovered that alcohol vapors could leak from the barrels without leaving obvious evidence. If the crew smelled explosive fumes building below deck, Captain Briggs may have feared the ship was about to explode. To protect everyone, he might have ordered the crew into the lifeboat while remaining attached to the ship by a rope. If that rope later snapped because of rough weather or strong winds, the ship would drift away, leaving everyone stranded in the open ocean. Modern experiments have shown that alcohol vapor explosions can produce powerful blasts without leaving burn marks, making this theory surprisingly convincing. Another explanation involves faulty navigation. Because some instruments were missing, researchers believe Captain Briggs may have incorrectly estimated the ship's position after bad weather. Believing they were dangerously close to land or reefs, he may have decided to evacuate temporarily. Tragically, one wrong calculation in the middle of the Atlantic could have become fatal. Of course, not everyone accepted ordinary explanations. Over the decades, the Mary Celeste became surrounded by myths. Some claimed a giant sea monster attacked the crew. Others suggested a mysterious sea vortex swallowed them. Paranormal enthusiasts argued the crew encountered ghosts, supernatural forces, or even extraterrestrials. Stories about the Bermuda Triangle eventually became connected to the mystery, even though the Mary Celeste was discovered far outside the triangle. These dramatic stories captured the public imagination, turning the ship into one of history's greatest ghost ship legends. One reason the mystery refuses to disappear is because so many false details entered popular culture. Famous writers invented fictional evidence. Newspapers exaggerated facts to sell more copies. Some stories claimed meals were still warm on the table when the ship was found, but official reports never mentioned that. Others described terrifying bloodstains or signs of violence that simply did not exist. Over time, fiction blended with reality until separating fact from myth became incredibly difficult. Modern historians continue studying every surviving document related to the Mary Celeste. Most agree that pirates, monsters, and aliens are extremely unlikely. The strongest explanations involve human decisions made under pressure, perhaps fear of explosion, confusion caused by faulty equipment, or severe weather convincing Captain Briggs that abandoning ship was the safest option. Yet, even these theories cannot explain every detail. No wreckage from the lifeboat has ever been found. No bodies washed ashore. No diary, letter, or eyewitness ever revealed the crew's final moments. More than 150 years later, the Atlantic Ocean still keeps its secret. Somewhere beneath those cold waves lies the answer to one of history's most haunting mysteries. Did Captain Briggs make one tragic decision that doomed everyone aboard? Did nature create the perfect disaster with no survivors and almost no evidence? Or is there still one missing piece of the puzzle waiting to be discovered? Until that question is answered, The Mary Celeste will remain the world's most famous ghost ship, a silent vessel drifting forever between history and legend, reminding us that the ocean still hides mysteries far greater than anything we can imagine.